Hey guys, NAKUL this side from skillspte academic. Well, in this video we will see why reorder the paragraph is so difficult for few people, and also we talk about the solution using a proven technique. Let's quickly start off. Reordering the paragraph is considered as one of the most difficult module in PTE exam, and it approximately contributes 6 to 10 or 6 to 12 depending on the number of questions you get. What is the task? A paragraph is given, and when you read from top to bottom, it may not make a very good sense. So your task is to reorder them so that it gives a better meaning and it makes more sense. But let's understand why reordering the paragraph is very difficult. Let's take a jigsaw puzzle. A jigsaw puzzle is a tiling puzzle that requires the assembly of often oddly shaped, interlocking and mosaicked pieces. Each piece usually has a small part of a picture on it. When complete, a jigsaw puzzle produces a complete picture. So let's take this picture of a frog. The very eyes of a frog, or the legs of a frog, or the color combination and many more evidence makes it easier for you to assemble them so that it produces a perfect picture of a frog. Even if you make a mistake, you will backtrack it and correct it because all you want is a picture of a frog. At any cost, even if you make a mistake, you would know that at least you have made a mistake because you know how the frog looks like. Things work very easily in a jigsaw puzzle because you're seeing the picture as a whole. You're not just seeing the eyes or just seeing the legs. So the idea is very simple. In a jigsaw puzzle, you're seeing the picture as a whole, not just because the eyes you have identified. If you put the eyes at the bottom, it doesn't make any sense, isn't it? The whole idea is in a jigsaw puzzle, you tend to see the entire picture, not just one particular thing. But why in reordering the paragraph, we are not doing it? That's the next big question. So in reordering the paragraph, the problem is they identify the pairs and they just get away with it. Let me explain more in detail. Identifying pair is like finding the eyes of a frog in a jigsaw puzzle. But finding just the pair of eyes isn't just enough, isn't it? It also matters where you're placing the eyes. If you place the legs here and the eyes on the bottom, doesn't make any sense as a picture as a whole, isn't it? So what's the solution? Very simple. Just the way you try to do a jigsaw puzzle by seeing the entire picture as a whole, you're going to do the same thing even in the reorder. You can just get away by identifying just a pair. See the entire picture as a whole and see if it makes sense. If it is not making sense, then whatever the things you have paired, they're wrong, backtrack it and again do it from the scratch. But at the end of the day, when you do it from the top to bottom as a picture as a whole, it should really make sense. There could be a lot of strategies depending on the question, but the underlying solution remains the same, which is see the entire thing, entire paragraph as a whole, not just the individual sentences. So let's take an example. I'm going to give you a very simple reorder in the paragraph, not a big one, very simple, but it has a lot of traps. I'll give you 2 minutes to solve it. After 2 minutes, let's see how many of you have got the correct answer. I hope you have solved the reorder in the paragraph and you have an answer in your mind. So before I share the answer, let me talk about the mistake. The mistake number 1, starting with C. Because a lot of people think that it is centered at game theory. Alright, that's totally fine. You start with C and then you make one more mistake thinking C is coupled with A. So you think game theory is a mental model that helps you understand how relationships and trust work. It is a concept framework or a worldview that you carry around in your mind. So let's say this is correct. It could be something like the pair of the eyes, the frog's eyes. But now just finding the frog's eyes isn't enough. You have to put them in the right place, isn't it? You can't put the frog eyes near the stomach. So this is the problem. So you think this is correct and based on this you try to do something more. So you started with C and you thought CA has to be the correct one, and then you didn't even think CA could be completely wrong because all you thought was CA makes sense. Unable to get a full picture, after CA you saw, for example, supply and demand. A mental model is an explanation of how something works. Then you see D is not going there. But still you think game theory is what is centered at. So CA and then BD or DB you put and you move on, get a total 0. So that's the mistake number 1 for you. So what's the solution? We'll talk about it. Let's say the mistake number 2. What I mean by the full picture is try to find the evidence. Try to see the whole picture and then it should really make sense, isn't it? That means you need to find the evidence, you need to find the facts. So what are the facts there? If you read from top to bottom there, you will understand. There's one thing called game theory and then there's a definition of a mental model, isn't it? So let's try to group them. It says, for example, supply and demand is a mental model that helps you understand how the economy works. That could be the first example. What is the second example? Game theory is a mental model that helps you understand how relationships and trust work. But what is this mental model? Put it on the top. A mental model is an explanation of how something works. It is a concept, framework or worldview that you carry around in your mind. For example, supply and demand is one of the mental modules which is blah 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 blah. On the other hand, you have one more type of mental model called game theory. That's another type of mental model that helps you understand how relationship and trust work. So this evidence, the facts will only help you get the full picture because you don't know the full picture here. In the jigsaw puzzle, you know that it's going to be a frog, but here you don't have it. So because of that, people assume things. So instead of assuming it, see the facts. Evidence is right over there. Group them. So it is talking about the mental model. So D has to be the first. And paraphrase it, which is, it is a concept. So DA has to be together. And then comes B, which is the first example. And then C goes in the end. So people who started with C, problem is not English. Problem is, they're not able to get the whole picture. The approach is wrong. So with the wrong approach, even if you practice, let's say, 10,000 questions, you will not be able to know whether you have progressed or not because the approach has some flaws. Hope you are getting it. This could be a very simple example to demonstrate the mistakes what people do in the reorder, but at the end of the day, it's not just practice that gives you the scores. You need to really know where exactly you're going wrong and then follow the right approach. Things will fall in place. So in a nutshell, what makes reorder difficult is our ignorance to look at the complete picture. So solution is very simple. When you reorder them, try to see if the entire paragraph makes sense. It is not just enough if only one pair makes sense. Well, that's it from this video. Hope this video served its purpose. Saying this, I'm going to end this video here. If you're looking for an online coaching, you can check the information in the description. I'm going to see you soon in the next video. Till then, take care. Thank you so much.